And this is the title of the presentation, which is Developing a Business English Course with the 21st Century Skills. Okay, so I'm going to start with the agenda of the presentation. And our presentation is divided into two sections. Okay, so phase 1 and phase 2. Starting with phase 1, number 1. So I'm going to share it again with you in case you didn't catch the titles. So we have understand who are your students, which is very important. Understand the meaning of a business English, like the term of business English. Understand 21st century skills. Then we will dive into the second phase, which is understand how to evaluate and assess student skills, which is very important. Then how to apply a skills-based lesson plan. Okay. So phase 1, number 1, understand who are your students, which is something very important. And because it's very obvious that all of our students, we think that they are the same or they come from like the same category. However, when it comes to teaching business English, you have to know exactly the background of your students. So before knowing more about our students, what can you see in this picture? Can anyone like share with me like any buzzwords that popped into your mind when you see this picture? Can anyone participate? Shall I go on? Okay. So basically, we can see here two types of students. The first one on your right, I guess it's on my left, so I guess it's on your right. I'd like to call this student like Mr. Robot. And the second student, which is on my right hand, I like to call him a skilled student. So we have Mr. Robot and Mr. Skilled. So we're here actually to know more about them, their mindsets, and why they are completely different. Even though they are like in the same level, they exert the same effort, they study the same amount of time, but how one of them is very skilled and the other one like cannot participate this much, cannot like communicate well, and so on. Sometimes in our classes, we can see this kind of student who always does his best. He's studying well, he's participating, he does his tasks. However, we feel like there is something missing, okay? And we cannot like highlight what's the issue when it comes to this student. And we are here now to know exactly what's this issue. Okay, so who are your targeted students? Like with me, you don't have to participate orally, but you can think at least. So guess 5 types of students who may need to take a business English course and why. So 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like, okay. And let's share some. Entrepreneurs, job seekers, government officials, consultants and freelancers, employees. So all of them are obviously, okay, again. All of them are obviously adults, okay? Which takes us to a topic that is very important, and I need you to put it into consideration while you are preparing your sessions, which is the science of adult learning. It's actually a recent study. It's a recent study that has been published in 2018. However, it's very important. And while studying it myself, I have made my own checklist that I like to review whenever I go ahead and prepare for any course for adults. Okay, so I'm going to share with you my checklist in details, providing you tips and tricks on how to apply it. Okay, so let's go. This is my checklist. So let me ask you first if you have ever prepared a checklist, or have you ever thought about a common checklist that you need to check before preparing any course? Because it's very important. You have to organize your thoughts. I'd like to tell myself I prepare like an educator, I teach like a teacher, and I think like a student. This is my own formula, which makes my classes engaging and unique. So obviously you have 2 minutes to think about your checklist, but we're going to skip this. Okay, but try to think about it in your inside your mind, like what's your first point that you're going to check before preparing any materials for your classes. Okay, like just give it a try inside your mind. Okay. Okay. So I always put inside my mind or put into consideration that my students love to have like a self-directed learning experience, and that the material should be relevant to them. And number three is that I need to put into consideration also the diverse learning styles. I have to make it like in an atmosphere that has lots of engagement. Number five, positive relationships or the positive rapport. And six, recognizing the value of learning tasks. I'm going to tell you actually more about this. This was actually like a task that you should think and match, but I'm going to provide all of you with the answers right away. Does anybody want to participate? To like go through and think what's self-directed learning? Okay. I'm
Yes,
gonna,
I think people, yeah, I think people are still typing in the chat box, some of them are saying wonderful things here, like the students needs important things to cover in the lesson, project-based learning for progress.
haven't
Yeah.
noted.
So yeah, and we have Iman here, who's willing to participate. So are you asking whether they can unmute themselves?
Yes, whoever wants to unmute himself or herself, I can go right
He,
away.
him or herself. Yeah. So Iman, could you please raise your hand so that I can allow you to unmute yourself?
Mhm. Okay. I just don't want to waste like your precious time, so I'm going to share with you the answers right away. But please look at it and tell me if there is something unclear or you want to ask about a certain thing. So give it a try. Just look at it. Okay. Allocate time and allocate time and what I can't see. Do the task. Allocate the time. Yes,
Yes,
this.
I think, yeah, I think they need more time, to answer or to
Mhm.
do the task.
Yes, okay, great. Mhm. So I'm going to share with you my tips and tricks when it comes to applying every or each point of the previous points. So self-directed learning, the teacher should offer choices and flexibility when it comes to activities, encourage self-reflection and goal setting, utilize collaborative learning methods where adults learn from each other. So this is actually my checklist, the checklist that I go by when it comes to preparing any session, and it has proved that it's very effective. Okay, so let's go to number two, which is design tasks with practical applications and meaningful outcomes. Utilize case studies, simulations, and project-based learning. 3, connect content to current events and professional situations. So don't be separated when it comes to the real life. If something going on, include this thing inside your classroom. Number 3, provide variety of instructional methods and materials, visual, auditory, kinesthetic. Encourage exploration and with different learning strategies, foster a supportive and inclusive environment where diverse perspectives are valued. Number 4, use interactive activities and discussions to involve all learners. Encourage problem solving and critical thinking through open-ended questions and real-world challenges. And we're going to go in depth when it comes to this part very soon. Number 5, positive relationships or the rapport inside the class. Build the trust and rapport with learners. This is very important. Create collaborative and inclusive classroom atmosphere. Provide constructive feedback and encourage self-development. At the end, the last one, which is recognizing the value of learning tasks. Set clear goals. Okay. Set clear goals for the session. As I have done with you at the very beginning, I set my own agenda. So you have to do the same thing with your students. Set clear goals for the tasks. This is number 2. Number 3, emphasize the continuous awareness of how tasks contribute to learning goals. So you have to tell your students or to share with your students the rationale sometimes, not all the times, but sometimes when it comes to certain tasks. So we're doing this because it's important when it comes to that and that. Okay, this engage your students more, especially when it comes to teaching business English, because like your students are small business owners, entrepreneurs. They like to think about the goals and objectives behind everything. So you need to give them this sense of relief. Okay. Let's move on and back to our like the name of our topic today. And as you can see, it has 2 key points: business English and 21st century skills. We're going to know more about those 2 keywords. So first, like the next milestone that we have so far is understand the meaning of business English. And so far, you can identify business English in 2 ways. Okay. The first way is simply says that it's a general English course, but we are focusing on certain terms or certain structures that can go with the business workplace. This is simply like the first way that you can identify the business English. The second way, as you have, I guess, like shared before my session or discussed before my session, is the ESP, which is teaching English for special purposes. Such courses might be like, if you want a certain thing, for example, if you want to know more about the legal terms in English because you are a lawyer and you need to know more about how to lay out your contracts and so you need like the English course for a certain purpose. The next milestone, which is understand the 21st century skills, the things that we are here for. Okay. So as we can see here, the 21st century skills are divided into 3 categories: learning skills, literacy skills, and life skills. Okay. Let's move on. And we're going to go to phase 2. But let's go back to the 21st century skills. I want you to look at all the skills in front of you and think, what are the main skills that I should integrate in my business English course and why? Okay, like look at it and think about it for a while. So we have in the learning skills, critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, communication. In the literacy skills, we have information, media, and technology. In the life skills, we have flexibility, leadership, initiative, productivity, and social skills. Okay, so look at it. If you are designing your own material, your own course, what are the skills that you're going to focus on, because they are very important when it comes to communicating in a business English workplace. Think, and I'm going to share with you right away. Or let's find them together. They are called the 4 C's, and those are the 4 skills that I focus on when it comes to teaching business English. So let's find out together the 4 C's: critical thinking, creativity, pardon me, collaboration, communication, which are the learning skills. Someone might ask here, but I can think about leadership, I can think about flexibility, whatever you want. However, in my own point of view, I believe that these are the most 4 important skills. And those skills differentiate between Mr. Robot, if you are following so far, and Mr. Skilled. Okay, because Mr. Robot and Mr. Skilled, they are they have the same abilities so far. They study the same amount of time. They are doing everything perfectly. However, the main difference between both of them is that someone has the ability to be a critical thinker, he's creative, he can communicate better. However, the other one doesn't have the skill, not the knowledge. He has the knowledge, but he doesn't have the skill to use the knowledge. Okay. Let's move to the next slide. So those are the 4 C's again. Okay. Now we want to evaluate our students' skills. We have Mr. Robot, and we want to know, what's his level when it comes to critical thinking, right? What's his level when it comes to creativity? And it's very difficult because you cannot actually break into his mind and know if he's creative or not. It's very difficult, isn't it? So it's not that difficult if you understand fully what are these skills. So let's get to know them more, shall we? So first one, communication. The first one is communication. So communication means working with others. Okay. Creativity. Creativity and innovation. It's not working with others for sure. Talking to others, this is communication. Okay, there is an overlap here. I'm going to share with you, and let's match them together. So working with each other is what? Collaboration for sure. Critical thinking, yes, finding solutions for problems. Communication, talking together. And collaboration, working together. Creativity is to be able to produce new solutions. Yes. So knowing these things will make me able to evaluate my students' skills? No, because it's not that simple. However, let me like move into this part because you should like be participating with me here. But according to the like knowing what are the skills exactly will make you able to develop some can-do statements. And according to these can-do statements, you will be able to evaluate your students' skills. So let's take, for example, critical thinking. So look at your student. Is he able to identify issues and asking questions about these issues? If yes, so tick it. Is he able to find evidences? If so, give it a tick. Is he able to reach conclusions? Is he able to evaluate evidence? Give it a check. So now you can know what your student lacks when it comes to critical thinking, and you can guide him through the tasks, okay, to be a better critical thinker. Same thing when it comes to communication, for example. I want to know if my student like is a good communicator or not. It doesn't only depend on how fast he speaks or his accent. It depends on the quality of the language he uses and also what he can do with the communication. So let's go to some of the can-do statements of the communication part or the communication skills. So share learning, persuade others, be clear. Is he clear? Can he invite feedback, like ask for feedback and receive feedback or not? This is part also of the communication skills. When it comes to creativity, you can look and think, is he able to imagine or generate ideas or not? Can he make conclusions? Can he elaborate more? Can he take risks? So, for example, when it comes to a certain presentation inside your classroom, is he able to improvise and to do some impulsive actions or say something that he doesn't he didn't prepare it before or not? Okay. And finally, collaboration. Is he able to cooperate with his mates? Is he able to build a team around him or not? Is he able to evaluate the team? So, which means to assign each one of his colleagues in the right part? Is he able to find solutions when it comes to the problems that they are facing while they are collaborating or not? So these are the can-do statements that you can use to evaluate or mentor your students to know the level of their skills. Okay. Oh, oops. So as we know that each skill has a sub-skill, right? So for example, we have listening for gist, we have listening for details, we have listening for specific details, and we can actually measure each sub-skill with our activities, okay? So same thing when it comes to the 4 C's, creativity, collaboration, critical thinking, and so on. So those are some sub-skills when it comes to communication. You can like take a screenshot or something. I wanted to share with you the materials and the things that I use myself to know the level of my students. So this is the communication. And also you can see that there is an evaluation for each sub-skill. Okay. Thank you. Let's go to collaboration, critical thinking, creativity. So, and that's the end of phase 2.1, and we're going to dive into phase 2.2, which is the last phase of the presentation. So now we understand the 21st century skills. We have picked the skills that we need to apply in the session. We know how to evaluate and mentor our students and take notes when it comes to their skills. But how can we actually put this into action? How can I prepare a lesson plan that is based on the 4 C's? This is what we are going to know right away. Okay, yeah, this is the question that I have raised. So this is basically, if you used Google to find the 4 C's framework, this is basically what you will find. However, I found it a bit complicated for me to apply it in such like structure. So I have developed my own structure, and I'm very happy to share my own structure with you. So I started with the stage, the aim of the stage, the time, the procedures, and the interaction pattern. So this is my lesson plan when it comes to applying the 4 C's in my business English class or any ESL class. It doesn't have to be a business English. There's still the students need to develop such skills too, aren't they? So I start with the warm-up, and then I go right through the lead and the exposure of my content. Then I go through something that has critical thinking and creative thinking together. And I'm going to tell you how in details. Then I go through an activity that has communication and collaboration, or focuses on communication and collaboration. Then I make my students apply all the previous skills into one task, which is the presentation. Because I feel like any presentation is the outcome of all the effort that my students have done. So after that, for sure, I'm going to give them a language feedback. And at the end, I'm going to give them my 4 C's feedback, as I have shared with you before. Okay, so let's know more about each stage. Okay, so after introducing and modeling a new concept, I make students think in a critical way and creative way about it. So I assign some activities for my students to complete individually. So this part is for the individuals. We don't make it in pairs, we don't make it in groups, individually. Okay. Then after students have completed their individual tasks, I have them turn to a classmate or small groups to share their ideas. This activity requires students to take something written and internal and make it spoken and external. It makes students think practically and in a sorry and in a creative way with each other, with each other, which is the definition of communication and collaboration. Okay, so this one is an individual task, and the second one in pairs or in groups. It's like the think, pair, share, but I'm going to give you more details about this. At the end, they make the presentation as I do because they can share all the outcomes that they have been working on. Okay, so think, pair, share might seem very simple. However, you can apply it in lots of ways. Okay, so those are some activities with the explanation and the examples. If you want to apply the first part, which is think, okay, you can have a look and tell me if you have any question when it comes to this part so far. So I'm providing you right now with a variety of activities that you can use when it comes to the think, pair, share. So like this is the end of my presentation, and we have like been through phase 1 and phase 2 so far in depth. I tried my best to share with you the tips and tricks that I applied myself. And like I'm waiting for all of your questions.